All right, just wanted to go over type and some more expressive features that you can work into it. I have my toolbar set up 2 wide for this, but remember you can make it single wide. You can go back to the basic videos that I had linked for you to see how you can set up all your extras and doodads and whatsits. The one thing that's interesting with Illustrator is it's one of those programs that's a little bit less intuitive to get comfortable with, but once you have your aha moment, you're going to be like, how can I use anything but Illustrator? But it is frustrating in the beginning. I was a little slower than most when I was a student with this. It took me a good 2 to 3 years to be like, what? And then it did make sense. So don't put a timeline on, having this aha moment with it. Just relax and have fun with it. And the one thing I always recommend is just make a new document like this that you have no attachment to and just goof off and play around with it. So the other tools I covered in the other videos, but I did want to delve a little bit deeper into the type tool itself. So I'll just type my last name. If you do Command A to select all, and then hold down your Shift command, and if you look at your period and your comma, you can see the greater than and the less than symbol, and you guessed it, the period, or the greater than, will make it bigger, and the less than, the comma, will make it smaller. So you don't have to go into, and if you pay attention to right here, when I'm doing this, it is doing the changing for me. Oop, I went into my leading. Sorry about that. Let's get back to normal. There we go. And you can see how it's changing there then. So you don't have to, incrementally, and these are all based upon, like, once upon our type setting ago, this is actually based on the California job types. So letterpress, which was our predecessor, you would actually lay each letter out one by one, and these are the relatively standard sizes for that. You can also just put your cursor in there and use your up and down arrow. This will do the same thing. This goes by increments of 1, whereas the Shift command, period, and comma, you can see it's doing it by 2s. So it depends if you need a bigger jump or a smaller jump. You can also do your free transform, and this is your E key. I'm sorry, where's it at? I'm just going to hit it so I can see it. Okay, there it is, right there. So I am a quick key user. This is something you might want to slowly start thinking of growing into. When you hover over each of these, you can see it says like paintbrush tool, and then there's something in parentheses. That parentheses is showing the quick key. So I had said it's the E, and you can see it has it in parentheses. V is your regular select, A is your direct select, and we're going to get into those two even more in a second. But for our free transform, and I think I have mine set up that you need to hold your Shift key down. Photoshop and Illustrator is changing for whatever reason the hold down the Shift to constrain proportion. So if yours does something like this when you're, not like that, when you're free transform, if you can like smush and distort it, that's not holding down the proportion. So if that happens, just hold your Shift key down. Oh my goodness, sorry. And then you're going to be able to resize it from there. V, regular select. It's going to take us out of our direct select. And if I say something like deselect, that means click off and then reselect. So deselect, reselect. Sometimes it'll cache. And then that way you have a little bit more flexibility with where you want to move it. I'm just going to zoom this out just a little bit because I love my artboard. And I'm just going to toss with I hold down my Option key. Option key is going to make duplicates. I'm just going to undo those with my Command Z. So you don't have to do a copy and paste. Well, in any of these programs, you can just hold down your Option key instead. So whatever's out here in the pasteboard, it will not print. The artboard is going to be that which prints. And I apologize for any road noise. I live on a main street, and apparently all the trucks have decided to go by my house today. So just ignore any extra noises. As with the other videos, when I talked about when there's this little caret in the corner, and you can see little caret, like none here under the pen tool, or the second pen tool, and I don't use this pen tool, curvature tool. I'm old school, I still use the pen tool, but you can see some of these have and some of them don't have the little drop downs. This is telling you that there is something more under there. So we have all of these other type tools. And this is our tear off menu. Let's just tear it off so we can see them. We were using the regular type tool. This is type in an area, type on the path. This is going to put it vertical in that area on a path. And then I'm not sure what the type touch tool is. I'd have to play around with that. What I said in the one email about like the subtle differences between like 2019 CC and 2020, it's usually something like this. Like they'll toss in one strange little new thing. I know this version, the curvature tool, is like 2 or 3 upgrades ago. You're going to find the tools, a lot of my students love the curvature tool. I'm sort of a control freak with my work, and I like to manually use the pen tool and tell it where to go. And that's probably something how this is. It's just trying to do something for you more innately. That can go either way. Sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't. So let's go ahead and make a line. So the one that I want to show the most, there's 2 that you'll end up using the most, the vertical and the path. And right now this path is not too exciting. Let me put some fill in that so we can see it. I must have everything preset to nothing. All right, there we go. There's our line, and I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit. This is with a command plus. Command plus is going to zoom in. Command negative is going to zoom out. Command or control, if you're on a PC, 0 is going to reset it to full screen. All right, I have a line. I want a wave, though, and this isn't quite a wave, so how do we do this? Under our friend the pen tool, we can actually add an anchor point. So maybe I'm going to put it just dead center. And let me pull out the pen tool also so you can see it. This one here is one of those things, and the pen tool. Let's just have a quick chat about that. The pen tool is one of those tools that makes Illustrator what it is. But it's also the tool that's going to take probably the longest to get comfortable with. So I have videos just by itself of the pen tool. So for these early stages, I usually recommend it's good to just learn how to add extra points. It's good to learn how to convert the anchor. So right now, this anchor, let's click on convert, is straight. So think of this as like a dancer, and this is always a strange sort of parallel, but this is how I like to explain it. Think of it as a dancer, and right now the dancer's arms are tight against their body, but you want to curve so the hands need to go out. So when you click, hold, and drag, these handles, the arms are going to come out. So you can create a wave or a curve of some sort. If you need to change just one point, you click on it with your direct select, that's the A, and then you can move it however you wish. And I'm going to do an undo there. The V, the regular select, I have to deselect to reselect it, is going to move all of it. So all of it moves. You have to click to activate it. One of it moves, or 2, or however many you wanted. It's individual points within your path, basically. So this type on a path tool, which you could have some fun with, you click on the path, and then I'm going to enlarge it, and you can see what starts happening. The type is actually going to go on whatever path it is you've drawn. Now you can see one thing that's happened is our line has disappeared. So if you had a couple things, and I'm just going to repeat it, I'm going to add a point in the middle. I'm going to go to the convert and click, hold, and slide out those hands. I'm going to go to the regular select. Now you can see everything's still in the points. So you have to deselect. I don't have a fill on that one either. My last project must have had none. There we go, because it does remember what you've done last. All right, there we go, back set up. Hold down your option key, just toss a copy to the side. That way you don't have to keep reinventing that wheel. If you find a shape you like, let's say you put type on that and then you want, I don't know, subheader, you can keep making the same line then. All right, go to our type on the path, Illustrator, and okay, if that happens, do not worry. Command A, less than, or your comma, you can get it to fit on that line. All of our typefaces are available under here. Now we have what they call the system typefaces. So these are the ones that the computers come with. You can also, yes, I know, thank you. I'm going to go into our friend Firefox. I like a type site called Font Squirrel. I should not have made this video at the loudest part of the morning, sorry. Font Squirrel, what I love about it is that first line there, it says 100% free for commercial use. And here's why I like this. I don't want to project manage, so DaFont, let's go to DaFont. So this is the one a lot of students, or 1001 fonts, I think is the other one. They have a lot of typefaces, and let's say you wanted something curly. Sure, why not? You could download it. The problem with this is it's not, you have to really pay attention. So it's like for personal use. It's just a demo. Personal use, personal use, personal use, personal use, personal use. You're getting the idea. These are just people uploading the typefaces they've made. And the usage rates are kind of wonky. So if this is something you're going to worry about, like, okay, if you use this in a commercial project, this studio can come back and like sue you all. So that I view as bad. So I could click on the site. 100% free does exist. So let's go ahead and submit it. So we have a lot less options, but these people are like, yeah, go ahead, use it for whatever. I'm cool with that. All right. Or you can go to Font Squirrel, download to your heart's contentment, and never have to worry about it. They also have, and you can see here, it's for, you know, print or for your web kits. So if you get into, and if you take the web design class under the DART program, we do use, you know, the web kits. We go through Google, but you can also know that if you're working on a project, it gives you the web kit here also. Some of them say download offsite. Don't worry about that. That's going to take you to their sort of mother site, which is FontSpring. Here's the caveat with that one. You're like, wait, it just said free and it's saying $36. First off, types can be really expensive. Say Helvetica, which is sort of the one everyone knows. That typeface, the official, can run upwards to like over 1,000 per computer. So if you have a whole firm, you could have like easily 15,000 just for one typeface family. For this, don't buy the whole thing. Look for where it says free and free. Click, click. Let's pretend I'm going through it. You can see it says it has desktop, it has web. If you wanted the ebook or app, you have to pay for it. Don't worry about that. For me now, I'm just going to say I want to add just the desktop, and it's I'm alone, so there we go, just one user. And I'm not signed in, but here's what happens. You don't have to enter credit cards or anything. You check out, it's showing 0. And when you are signed in, it remembers everything that you air quote purchased, even these free ones. So no matter where you're at, let's say your computer dies, it will remember them, and then you can just go back in here and download them. There is also something I like to show my classes, the maturator. So if you have like a photo of a Starbucks cup and you're like, what is this typeface? You can upload that image and it's going to spit out like, here's typefaces that look kind of similar. So if you're trying to match a typeface for a client, this is a really good starting point. You can also use your font book, but you're going to manually, you know, be climbing through each typeface and be like, oh, I think it's this one. It's Papyrus, definitely. And I know we pick on Papyrus a lot, but that's sort of what we designers, I suppose, do. There's nothing wrong with Papyrus other than everyone uses it way too much. Also, Comic Sans. So it's those two typefaces, and I'm going to throw Hobo and Curls in there also, like really sort of decorative, visually different typefaces are going to be made sort of fun of because they're been there, done that basically with them. So Font Squirrel. The ones that don't have offsite, so let's go to, and I know I have Source Sans, so let me scroll to something I probably don't have. I don't think I have this one, so I'm going to download it. On a Mac, you can save it or you can open it with the archive. All right, so it's really easy, and I have another demo on how to do this on a PC, but for a Mac, you just click drag over it, double click, it opens up in Font Book we click install. And what had I installed? I already forgot. There it is. It's showing us Sinkin Sans 200. What I like about this is what you're going to notice on Font Squirrel. Long story short, I get excited about typefaces, sorry. 18 styles, one style, 10 style, one style. 18 is great because now you have the whole family and it's going to make your design project a lot easier. So that's another bonus to Font Squirrel. For Font Squirrel, or sorry, Font Book, you can go through all of your typefaces, what's on your computer, or what's just the ones you yourself downloaded, because the defaults, you know, we pretty much know what they look like. But if you're looking for something specific that you yourself would have downloaded, like I was just saying, I know I have Source Sans because I use it all the time. Here it is. So same dealio. You can sort of scroll through and see each of those also. So Font Book, if you're on a Mac and you get really into type, can be really nice for managing and also sort of viewing it like a type specimen and finding what would look good for your project. I'm just going to minimize. Oh, and also just as a heads up, they do have search categories also, so your classifications are over here, which we will eventually be getting more into. So like something like a sans serif. So a sans serif doesn't have the little, so see how there's no little feet on these? That's basically saying, you know, it's a little cleaner, it's a little bit more modern. My internet just slowed down. There we go. It's going to have like a fresher, cleaner, more efficient look. But if we wanted something like, well, I'll just look at a serif. Serifs are easier for like big bodies of text, like textbooks, etc. I think I'm searching for two things, and it's going to show us both. There we go. Let's remove some of these so that you can see it. All right, there we go. So they have the little phalanges, the feety things that are coming off of them. So this is actually like little pauses for our eyes. So if we're reading a book, you know, a serif, no, not a slab serif, but like a nice serif, like, you know, our default in our system is usually Times or Palatino. It's a lot easier on our eyes to read, whereas something more modern, like the sans serif's good for like our headers, etc., or something that's going to stand out and jump to attention. And there's a whole typeface combo thing also that our friend Pinterest will show you many examples for. So long story short, that's where all of our type is going to be housed under this menu. You can also view it under your type menu, and everything's under Windows that we learned from my other videos. And you can see, where is my character at already? Oh my goodness, literally right in front of me. And you can change everything here also. So we have our spacings and etc. The vertical, let's just click and type. There we go. It stacks. This can be a little bit hard to read. I'll just type my name again. I've noticed a lot of like young adult books are doing this right now, which is strange because it's sort of one of those rules, like don't do this. But hey, why not? If it works, and this is purely for experimentation, try it. Why not? Let's just build a shape. So these, the type is going to go in the area. Ooh, there we go. You have to click on the line. And it's going to fill whatever shape it is you've made. Stealing our line that we made. And these are just the ones I'll go over. There's so many tutorials on our friend YouTube. You can check those out. And then you can see what happens there. It's going to go like, so let's say we're doing the word water, because that sort of had like a watery feel to it. And if we're playing around with something, you know, and we wanted to make it look like waves, and that's sort of messy, but you get the idea. You can build up the imagery as type, or the type into imagery. So you can have some fun with that. I'm going to slide this over to our pasteboard, because the pasteboard's the playboard. I'm going to make a duplicate, even though I know one's up there, but just in case. What we can also do, so right now this is an editable piece of text. I can go in, and let's say it's like Reading, PA. We can retype this at this stage, or if we want to think of the image as, or the type as image, we can actually convert it. So under type, create outlines. So what this does is it turns it basically into a box form. So if you wanted to go crazy with that, then you can go into our direct select And maybe I'm like, okay, I want this one to be like this, and I want, and you have to sort of click on it. So it being the point, sorry. So see how it's like sort of activated there, and it turns, let me zoom it really in so you can see it. Boop, boop. So see how it's like open, open, it's like a little white dot, open, 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 that's a darker blue dot. Whatever is darker is what's going to be the one that changes. So that lower corner, let's say I wanted them all to come to this point for whatever reason, you're going to be able to change it point by point. You can also, and I'm just going to click on this, click and drag over two of them. Now both of them are going in the same direction. Or maybe I want all of this, it's going to collect all of them, all of this bottom bit to go. You guessed it, it's going to change all of them. So when the type is no longer type in its image, you can manipulate the form even more. So maybe for this, I'm going to delete all of that, and maybe I don't want any of the inside bowls. So let's just delete. So I'm just going in, deleting points. So we went from a pretty mundane typeface to something really weird. So I'm not quite sure what the design sensibility here was, but you get the idea. You can keep adjusting these basically until the proverbial cows come home. So if you don't want points, so let's say the dot, you're like, I don't want any of that. Delete, it's gone. Maybe you only want half of this letter, it's gone. So this is sort of what we're saying when we say, you know, play around with it. So maybe it's going to be, remember, make your duplicate so that you can, you know, I can still go in and edit this one. This one, that's it. I mean, it's an image now. So you can make it the image. You can play around with the paths. You can put it in shapes. You can do, let's just hold this down. Another thing that you can do, let's just slide him over. And when you hold down that Option key, if you do Command D, Command D, Command D, it's going to do a duplication of whatever it is you're working on. Click and drag over all of these. You guessed it. We're going to duplicate it, duplicate it, duplicate it. So it sort of needs to have one set up first, and then whatever you make the duplicate of, it's going to remember it sort of as an action, and then the duplicate's going to keep it going. So play around with different typefaces. For a PC, if you're working on a PC, you would download, you would uncompress the folder, and then that one is kind of a pain. You have to drag in one by one, or do it one by one. So you would just click on the first typeface and then hit install. Next one, install. You can go into your system fonts and dump them in there, but that would be a little bit more advanced. But you can just do it from your download file. Just going to go one by one. This is going to take a while to upload, so I meandered a bit longer than I meant to, and I'm also going to show you a little bit with it more with, like you said, I have the image, how do I get my type to do that? It might be, because I don't know what the image is, so I'd have to see it first before I show it. So it might be something like this, like you're just manipulating them after you've converted it to a path, or maybe you're going to build it up with the pen tool. So let me know. You might have to send me your image. Send me a sketch or a photo of your sketch so I can sort of see, and then we can go from there. But this will at least get you started with some of the tools. And I didn't even go into color, but you can change any color you want. There we go. Great. Got colors switched. So you can have a lot of fun with that also. Something that does always come up with Illustrator is I want a colored background. You actually have to make a box that covers your artboard and put in whatever color, and object arrange, send to back, and then you can have color on it from there. That is less intuitive for sure than Photoshop, where you can just dump it in. But Illustrator is a vector program, and so vector means it's mathematically scalable. So it'll be clear. This would be perfectly clear at 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters, or 200 feet by 200 feet. So it's always going to be perfectly clear. So billboards, think billboards. It could be a postage stamp or it could be a billboard. Whereas Photoshop, since it's bitmap, the size it is the size it is. So essentially what's happening is it's saying, like, if you want a background color, you're going to have to say it's in this container and it's this color, so that when you scale it, it's going to know exactly what to do mathematically. So yes, Photoshop versus Illustrator, there's a lot of, actual differences. Our tools have the same sort of flow. Our type tool, where is it? The T is always going to look the same in all the programs. The arrow direction tools, or sorry, selection tool, they used to be arrow tools. I don't know where that came from. It came from 20 years ago, but our selection tools are going to be the same in all of them. So there are similarities, but I do recommend with this, just make an artboard like this that is not precious and just goof off and see what everything does. Get comfortable with some of the basic mechanics, and then you can move into the project. That way you have a little bout of playtime before you're actually worrying about the project itself. So send me the sketch photo so I can see what you're working on, so I can help you more with like building whatever shape that is. Otherwise, this will get you started on the type portion. Have a great day.